Well, good morning, church family. You'll have to bear with me. I've got an early morning because of men's Bible study, so needing to do this while I drive in the truck. Thankfully, Fort Smith and Barling does not exactly have Washington, D.C. traffic, so this would be doable, at least I think it will. Anyway, this morning we are on Proverbs 2 because it's August 2nd, and I kind of want to illustrate it this way. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to the news, or maybe you've been at the mall or somewhere or seen a billboard that advertised how Powerball or Mega Million or whatever the different, lottery ticket, I don't even know what you call them, not campaign, but lottery tickets that you can purchase to win up to, I think I saw some number of like $1 billion. I remember as a kid thinking $1 million was a number that was unattainable by only, actors or something, but $1 billion, that's crazy, isn't it? And you think to yourself, you don't even have to be a greedy person to just kind of ask yourself, what would you do with $1 billion? And I was thinking about, in light of Proverbs 2, what if someone bought that winning lottery ticket for $1 billion and you found out it was buried somewhere in your backyard, like 5 feet underground, and you found out that, this thing was buried fairly recently, so that it hasn't deteriorated, it hasn't rained yet, and it's there on your property. What would you do? Well, if that was me, I'd turn this video off right now and turn back to the house and try to find out where that ticket is. I'm sure if you had kids in school, you'd be getting your kids out of school and putting them to work to go dig and find that thing. Or you'd find your 10 best friends and family, and everybody would grab a shovel and get to it. Why would we do that? Well, we would do that because the value of that ticket, at least in that moment, is surpassing the value of whatever we're doing at that given moment. We think to ourselves, if I had $1 billion, I wouldn't have to work in this job, or I could pay off all my debt and the debt of those I love. I could give to my church. I could build something for my local community that could serve many people who are in need. I could buy whatever's needed to put missionaries on the ground. I could give people clean running water. There's so many things we would think about, right? And you would think about what all you could do with that amount of money. And the point of that illustration is to say that in the blink of a moment, if we were given an opportunity to pursue something that could radically change your life for good in almost every conceivable way, that treasure, that value would so control and motivate us that it would alter our life until we found it. Well, in Proverbs 2, the proverb really begins with this plea from really a father to a son to call out, to search, to cry out for wisdom, insight, and understanding as if it were hidden treasure. And it says in verse 6, "For the Lord gives wisdom, from his mouth come understanding and knowledge." In other words, something more valuable than a $1 billion lottery ticket is wisdom and understanding that only God can give us, that can have a profound effect on all of our life and in ways that would far surpass money. And he talks about in the rest of the proverb about guarding us and guiding us with discernment and understanding and insight. In other words, the ability to make wise decisions in everyday life, whether that be with money or business dealings, or just decisions that affect your family, your church. It watches over you. God's wisdom, God's understanding watches over you. It guards you. It guides you. Think about God's wisdom guiding every decision you make today, and it being for your good and for those around you. And then the rest of the proverb, it talks about how God's wisdom also delivers us from people who can ruin our life. So in one sense, wisdom guides us to make the best possible decisions in everyday life, both for our benefit and others around us, but also it protects us from people who could literally ruin our life, destroy our life, lead it to an immense amount of destruction and loss. And he talks about men with perverted speech, corrupt men, and then also the adulterous or promiscuous woman who has forsaken her covenant with her husband and really ultimately with her God. And so I just want to encourage you with this question. Do you and I search and seek out God's wisdom as if it were hidden treasure in our backyard? Do we value God's ability to guard, to guide, to oversee, to watch over us, both for our personal welfare and the welfare of those around us, and to protect us from people that could really ruin our life? And guys, that's what Proverbs 2 is saying. Seek out, search out, cry out, dig, pursue, prioritize God's wisdom in the fear of Him with a priority and a passion that is greater than any other endeavor of your life, starting right now. And so, brothers and sisters, it's a good thing to ask ourselves, is that what we're doing? And do we believe God's wisdom is more valuable than any of the trinkets, any of the money, any of the physical earthly luxuries that we can afford now? And I think we should look at Proverbs 2 as a promise that's echoed also in James 1 about asking for wisdom. And again, it reminds me of Jesus in the parable of the kingdom of the man who bought a field and found a treasure in it, and he sold everything in his joy so that he could purchase that field and obtain that treasure. That Matthew 13:44, I believe it is. And guys, that's what the kingdom of God is. It is a treasure that far surpasses any other treasure we'll ever have on this earth. So let's take God at His word and cry out and search for His wisdom starting today. And let's watch and see how God's wisdom changes our lives in a profound way that has far greater fruit and eternal value than simply a lottery ticket. God bless.